everyone, I'm Theresa and today I'm here to talk to you about my Kiënbock disease. The story goes back to the beginning of 2007 when I suddenly started getting pain on my wrist. Initially I thought I had strained it in gym class and I just shrugged it off with some ice. It would pass. However, the pain was increasing day by day and I eventually went to the emergency room because it wasn't normal. So they did the routine exams, x-rays, blood tests, all that, just to send me home with an elastic wrist, pain medication and ice because it was probably just a twisted wrist. And so I went from home to the hospital for the next months, always with the same diagnosis. The pain kept escalating and eventually I couldn't write anymore. Grabbing a fork to eat was painful and even trying to wash my own hair was a losing battle because the pain was excruciating at a certain point. I started to have sleepless nights because of the pain. No pain medication would calm it enough for me to sleep properly. It was awful. It got to a point where my parents started to doubt me and when my school attendance and grades started to fail, they thought I was fabricating the pain just as an excuse to get out of school. Rebel teenager, maybe. But I don't blame them, because even I started to question my own mental health. I mean, after all, how could my wrist hurt so much when every emergency doctor that had seen me had told me everything was okay, everything was normal, there was no reason for the pain. Finally, after some months of spiraling, I crossed paths with a doctor that sensed something more had to be there. So she sent me to an orthopedist specialized in the hand and wrist. Right away, I did an MRI, and the orthopedist said he could see cysts, but nothing too serious or that would explain my pain. To be fair, to this day, I'm not even sure if he looked at the MRI images because I only saw him reading the report, the imaging report that comes with it. The report did say the images were compatible with some bone cysts. However, he never gave me a valid solution, a valid reason for my pain, and he just wanted to do surgery on me to see if the cysts were there and if he could find what was causing the pain, what was wrong. I mean, I hated this doctor because he never made me feel like his patient, like I was his patient. He would only address to my parents, and I get it, I was a minor by then, but still I was the patient, and he made me feel invisible when the pain was mine to begin with, So I hated that. And after rejecting the surgery, he was a bit nasty towards me and literally told me to do infiltrations and physiotherapy during that month because he was going on vacations and we could discuss the surgery when he got back from the vacations. It was his way or no way. Obviously, I wasn't pleased with another month of pain and no solutions, and neither were my parents. Since my father went to medical school, he got a few contacts and I ended up in Porto, over 300 kilometers away from home, for another appointment with another orthopedist that was well known for his work with hand surgeries. And I can't thank him enough. I was blessed to have him as my doctor. As soon as he saw my MRI, he said he wasn't seeing what the report was telling him, and he asked me, not my parents, me, if it was okay for me to do another MRI so he could clear his doubts. Of course, I was ready for another MRI the very next day, and that MRI told him what he was already suspecting. He very gently told us that I had Kiënbock disease, and he then explained to us that the semilunar bone wasn't receiving its blood supply, so it was lacking nutrients and it was in a necrotic state, hence the pain that was haunting me for the last year. To worsen my case, I had the ulnar bone way shorter than the radius, these two bones, which I've learned it's called negative ulnar variance. I hope I'm saying it right. This simple shortage of bone created an extra stress to the semilunar bone And he explained us that medicine hadn't still figured out why this happens, and that there is no actual cure for it. And in all of his medical career, I was the second case of Kienbock he had encountered. And he had a lot of experience. So there we were, finally a proper diagnosis, but one we didn't quite understand, as we had never heard of such disease. Surgery was scheduled, my wrist was casted until the surgery to prevent causing more damage, and we went back home. My mom did Google every website she could find to learn about Kienbock, but at that time there were 0 articles from Portuguese doctors. She did read a lot of articles from Brazilian doctors in order to try and better understand what I was going through. In October of that year, I traveled back to Porto and had my surgery. The surgery consisted of a radial shortening, so it would be the same level as the ulna, in hopes my pain would lessen, so the stress would be off the semilunar. I ended up with 17 staples and a pretty scar that I was unable to look at while the staples were there. It creeped me out, my own arm. After the staples were taken off, I was clear for physiotherapy and I started doing daily treatments. And even when I was at home, I would do small things that would help me regain strength, mobility, but even to this day I'm not back 100% on it. As I reacted badly to the anesthesia, the doctor didn't schedule a surgery to take the metal plaque that was holding the bone. So I still have a few extra screws on my wrist. They may come handy someday, I don't know. However, my pain was reduced incredibly. And after movement and strength were conquered back, I was able to do everything by myself again. I could write, I could wash my hair, I could use my hand to do everything. Right now, after 12 years of all of this ordeal, I still have some pain now and then. It's mostly with major weather changes and if I put too much strain onto it. But it's rare. It's rare to happen and the pain is nothing like it used to be. It's pretty manageable. So this is my story with Kienbock, the story behind my wrist scar that so many people ask me about. I'll show you. So this is my scar. Hi, nice to meet you. A lot of people told me to take it off with plastic surgery because it did this keloid here. Keloid, I don't know how it's pronounced in English, but I'm okay with it. It's my scar, it's my story, so I won't probably remove it unless it starts to give me problems. It never did so far. If you watched this video because you too have Kienbock or have gone through it, please do share your story with me. Leave me a comment or send me a message. I don't know other people with the same problem here in Portugal. I've never heard of even anyone that knows what Kienbock is. I'm always glad to share experience and know people that, I can relate to in some level, even if in disease. But I want to extend this video more, as I think it's already long enough. So if you survived this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye!